Good afternoon, viewers. Welcome again to my channel, Second Math Hub, the solution to your math problems. This is General Mathematics, November, December 2024. This is Theory, Optional, Question 6. Let's quickly begin with the A part. A businesswoman bought a printing machine for $8,000 and later sold it at a loss of 15%. She spent $3,500 of the amount received from the sale and invested the rest at 7% per annum compound interest. We are to calculate the interest earned after 4 years. So this is a very nice question. See that it's a combination of profit and loss as well as compound interest. So let's begin with the solution. So we know that the businesswoman bought the printing machine for $8,000. So that is the cost price. So we know the cost price of the printing machine to be $8,000. And now later she sold the printing machine at a loss of 15%. So let's calculate the actual selling price of the printing machine. Yes, we know that she made a loss. That is, the loss percentage is giving us 15%. So because she made a loss, it means that she sold the printing machine at a price lower than the cost price. So how then do we calculate the actual selling price, knowing that she made a 15% loss? So now we know that in percentages, the cost price is equivalent to 100%. So let's take note. In terms of percentages, 100% is equivalent to the cost price. So in this case, $8,000. Now she made a loss of 15%. So making a loss here means that she sold the machine at a price lower than the cost price. So it means that she reduced the price by 15%. That is in terms of percentages. We know the original percentage as 100%. Now she's selling the printing machine at a 15% less price than the original one. So now what is 15% less of 100%? 15% less of 100%. Now if I ask you to find 2 less than 10, a number which is 2 less than 10, what will you do? You just subtract 2 from 10 and then the number is 8. So we have to also find 15% less of 100%. So we have to subtract 15% from 100%, and that is 85%. So at this point, we can apply a proportion. If 100% corresponds to $8,000, then 85% must also correspond to a certain amount of money of which we don't know. So with this, we can apply proportion, as I said. So if less, then more will divide. So with this, we can calculate our selling price. Now the selling price, we know that in percentages, 100 corresponds to the cost price, which is $8,000. Now 85% should also correspond to a certain amount of money of which we don't know. So if less, more will divide. So 85% out of 100% times $8,000. So let's use our calculator. We have the selling price to be $6,800. So that is our selling price. That is our selling price. So this is actual selling price of the machine after the 15% loss was made. Now again, she spent $3,500 of the amount received from the sale. So she spent $3,500 from this amount. So let's calculate her balance. So her balance after spending $3,500. So to calculate her balance, that is the selling price, which is 6,800 minus the amount she spent, 3,500. So now let's find the difference. 6,800 minus 3,500. 3,300 Ghana cedis. So this is the balance after spending $3,500. Now, what did she do with the balance? We were told that she spent 3,500 of the amount received from the sale and invested. So she then invested the rest, that is the balance, at 7% per annum compound interest. So you have to calculate the interest earned after 4 years. So with this, let's write so what is our principal? So we know that the amount we invest is our principal. And we know that she invested $3,300. So that is our principal. $3,300. So that is our principal. What is the rate? So at a rate of 7%. Then 7% is also written as 7 out of 100. So that is the rate. For how many years? We are looking at the time frame. So number of years. That is time. So the time here was 4 years. Don't forget that all these investment was done under the compound interest terms. But we are looking for the interest. But first of all, let's calculate the total amount this businesswoman will get after investing the principal using compound interest terms for 4 years. So let's recall that amount is equal to principal multiplying 1 plus the rate exponent n. So as we know, A is the amount, P is the principal, R is the rate, and then n represents the time measured in years. So now with this, let's do the substitution. We know the principal to be 3,300. So 1 plus the rate, 7%, so 7 out of 100. Exponent n, so n is the number of years. Here we have 4. So let's simplify using our calculator. So we have the amount to be $4,325 $0.63. So this is the total amount she will earn after 4 years. But you're not looking for the amount, you are looking for the interest. Recall that amount is equal to principal plus interest. Why is this formula so? So now let's say you invested $100. You invested $100 in a bank, and for some number of years. So after, let's say, some number of years, you gain an additional interest of, let's say, $30. So in this case, the amount you invested here is your principal. And then the $30 here becomes your interest. So after the period of investment, what will be your total amount? So your total amount here will be the money you invested, which is the principal, plus the interest you gained. So that will be your total amount. So that is why the formula is so. So the total amount here is equal to the principal plus interest. Now we know the amount to be $4,325.63. This should be equal to the principal, the money invested. So principal, we have $3,300. So plus interest. So now let's make interest a subject by grouping like terms. So we have 4325.63 minus 3300. This should be equal to our interest. So let's simplify. 4325.63 minus. So we have 1025.63 as our interest. So finally, our interest is $1,025.63. So that is our interest. So this is a very nice question. That is for A. This is for A. So now let's also look at the B part. So now let's look at the B. I read the minute hand of a clock is 7.2 centimeters. So that is the length of the minute hand of the clock. We have to calculate correct to 5 significant figures. The area swept by the minute hand from 1735 to 1820. So the emphasis is on the wall clock. So we have our wall clock here. Now recall that 1735 is the same as 5:35 p.m. and then 8:20 is also the same as 6:20 p.m. So now the first step is that we need to look at the duration. That is the duration of time from 1735 to 1820. We want the duration. So first of all, let's indicate the start time. The starting time here was 1735. So 1735 is the same as 5. So there is our hour hand and there is the minute hand. Again, don't forget that the length of the minute hand was given us 7.2 centimeters. 7.2 centimeters. So that is the start time. Now we want the duration. So from 1735 to 1820. So can you guess the answer? From 1735 to 1820. Can you drop the answer? So we can do that. We know that on the walk, there is the walk clock. On the walk clock, the minutes between each number is 5 minutes. You should know this. From 12 to 1, the number of minutes here is 5 minutes. So in between the numbers, there is a range of 5 minutes. So now starting from 35, you are focusing on the minute hand. So from 7 to 8, that is 5 minutes. From 8 to 9 plus 5, so making 10. 9 to 10, making 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, and then 45 minutes. So that is the duration. From 1735 to 1820 is a duration of 45 minutes. Again, you can also use normal calculation, whereby you find the difference between the time range. So starting with 1820. So 18 at the hours column, and then 20 at the minutes column. And then 1735. So we want the difference. The difference will give us the duration. So now, starting with the minute hand, the minute column, 20 minutes minus 35 minutes. That will give us negative 15 minutes. But we are talking about the wall clock. You cannot have a negative time on the wall clock. So what do? We move to the hour column and then borrow 1 hour. Now don't forget that every 60 minutes is equivalent to an hour. So we have to convert the 1 hour to 60 minutes. And then 60 minutes plus 20 minutes, making 80 minutes. So now 80 minutes minus 35 minutes. That should give us 45 minutes. And then don't forget that we have already borrowed 1 hour. So we'll be left with 17. Then 17 minus 17. That is 0. That is 0. So we see that the duration here is 45 minutes. Now the next step, we want to find, or we want to convert the 45 minutes into an angle. We want to convert 45 minutes to an angle. How do we do that? Now, so on the wall clock, let's pick 12 as a starting point. So let's say we have the minute hand at located or pointed at exactly 12. So when the minute hand covers one complete rotation, that is when it moves from 12 in the clockwise direction back to 12, how many minutes will be covered? So we know that the difference or the specific minute between each number here is 5 minutes. So from 12 to 1, that will be 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, and then 60. So 4. If the minute hand completes one full rotation, then 60 minutes will be covered. But this time, you see that from 1735 to 1820, that is not the complete rotation. So now let's convert the 45 minutes into an angle. So angle theta covered by the minute hand from 1735 to 1820. So how do we calculate that? So the duration here was 45 minutes divided by the number of minutes covered in one complete rotation, that is 60 minutes, multiplied by 360 degrees. So let's simplify this. 45 out of 60 times 360. We have theta as 270 degrees. So in terms of angle, the duration here is 270 degrees. Now, let's draw a picture of what is actually happening here. Let's have a picture of what is actually happening here on the wall clock. What is actually happening here? So our focus is on the minute hand. So there is the center of a circle. So there is the starting point. That is from 1735 to 1820. And don't forget that from the center to the end of the minute hand for this particular circle, that will be the radius. Don't forget that. So indirectly, that is the length of the minute hand, which is given as 7.2 centimeters. So don't forget that. That will be the radius. So the radius is 7.2 centimeters. And again, we know that the angle covered here by the minute hand is 270 degrees. So we are looking for this area, the area swept by the minute hand, the area swept by the minute hand. That is what we are looking for. We are looking for this area. So as you can see, there is a sector of a circle. We are looking for the area of a sector with an angle of 270 degrees. So what is the formula for calculating the area of a sector? We know that the area of a sector is equal to the angle of the sector divided by 360 times pi r squared times pi r squared. So with this, we can do the substitution. We have theta to be 270 divided by 360 times pi. We are asked to take pi as 2217. So 2217 multiplied by the radius. So the radius here is the length of the minute hand. That is 7.2 centimeters squared. So let's simplify this using the calculator. 270 divided by 360 times 2217 times 7.2 all squared. So the area is 122.1943. But don't forget that we have to correct to 5 significant figures. So how do we correct these to 5 significant figures? So there's the first significant number, the second one, the third, the fourth, and then the fifth. Then the next number here is 4, which is also less than 5. So we have 122.19, the units, centimeters squared. So that is the area swept by the minute hand. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please don't forget to subscribe and then share the video on other social media platforms for your colleagues to also benefit. Thanks for your time and support. See you next time.